some Naam Sankirtan. Only one name, Rama. Rama 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 Ram Rama 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 Ram 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 सियावर रामचंद्र की जय सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय Let us chant Sita Ji's prayer to Parvati Ji. The last sortha we will lead and repeat, but until the last sortha we will chant together. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama 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 Jaya Jaya Giribar Raja Kisori Jaya Mahesa Mukha Chanda Chakori Jaya Gaja Badana Shadanana Mata Jagat Jananida Mini Duti Gata Nahi Tava Adi Madhya Avasana Amita Prabhau Bedu Nahi Jana भव भव विभव पराभव कारिणि विश्व विमोहनि स्वबस विहारिणि पति देवता सुतीयमहु मातु प्रथम तव रेख महिमा अमितन सकहि कही सहस शारदा शेष सेवत तो हि सुलभ फलचारि वरदायनि पुरारि पियारि देवी पूजी पद कमल तुम्हारे सुर नर मुनि सब होहि सुखारे मोर मनोरथ जानहु नीके बसहु सदा उरपुर सबही के कीन्हु प्रगटन कारण तेहि अस कहि चरण गहे वैदेहि विनय प्रेम बस भई भवानी माल मूरति मुसुकानि सादर सिय प्रसाद सिर धरेऊ बोली गौरी हरषु हिय भरेऊ सुनु सिय सत्य असीस हमारी पूजिहि मन कामना तुम्हारी नारद बचन सदा सुचि साचा सो बरु मिलिहि जाहि मनुराचा मनु जाहि राचेउ मिलिहि सो बरु सहज सुंदर सावरो करुणा निधान सुजान सीलु स्नेहु जानत रावरो एहि भाति गौरी असी ससुनि सिय सहित हिय हरषियलि तुलसी भवानी पूजि पुनि पुनि मुदित मन मंदिर चली तुलसी भवानी पूजि पुनि पुनि मुदित मन मंदिर चली जानि गौरी अनुकूल जानि गौरी अनुकूल सियहि हरषु न जाई कही सियहि हरषु न जाई कही मंजुल मंगल मूल मंजुल मंगल मूल बाम अंग फरकन लगे फरकन लगे सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उमापति महादेव की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. 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 Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. One of the things in Bhagwan Shankaracharya's teaching is his consistency of his message. Right from the first verse, he has been repeatedly clarifying one point for us, and that is, main cause of bondage is ignorance. You will notice in entire Vivekachoodamani, Bhagwan did not deviate from this point. And the blessing of such kind of study is, even if we find it difficult in the beginning, whenever it opens up for us that this is my real cause of bondage, then onwards the journey of a seeker is a great joy. Because for a long time, we might not resonate with what Vedanta is telling us. Because we feel bondage is some person, bondage is some immediate reason, and Vedanta wants to say the primary cause, the fundamental cause of bondage is ignorance. Once I become a jiva, I cannot be free from vyavaharik problems. Only when I abide in my paramarthik swarupa, I will be able to see vyavaharika problems in a different light. This concept, Shankaracharya says, either we get it today or tomorrow. This is what we have to get. He doesn't discuss too much about dharma, adharma, or some value-based teaching, because they are discussed in other places. That viveka will be dharma, adharma viveka, kartavya, akartavya viveka. Here he says our main topic is sat, asat viveka. Our essential nature is sat. If we think anything other than that, that will cause some bondage somewhere. The student who understands this is my real problem, the teacher congratulates such a student. The praise which was done of the Shishya was not because he was good in some particular quality. What was the teacher praising? He said, you want to be free from bondage by removing ignorance. And this is not a statement he is saying because he has heard from somewhere else. Upanishads say you should be free, therefore I say I want to be free. He is somebody who is feeling this samsara to be like forest fire. He has analyzed the world. He himself wants to erase jivatva. That quest is being praised by the teacher. And the teacher said, in this path of liberation, we cannot keep waiting for destiny to work. We will have to put forth effort. Statements like, if it is meant to happen, it will happen. See, for spiritual journey, if you are making this statement for somebody else, it's okay. You try to tell somebody, do sadhana, do satsang, and that person is not interested. Then what should you say? If the Lord wants it to happen, it will happen. No point in pushing too hard. Spirituality will come in its own time. But we are not allowed to say this statement for us. If our scriptures are telling us, do sadhana, do meditation, do shravanam, and if you say, what is the point in pushing? If I am meant to be liberated, I'll be liberated in my own time. Nothing doing, the teacher said, we'll have to put forth self-effort. And whatever little has inspired us, go to the next step. Or at least make sure that we don't go backwards. Either in our shravanam, mananam or nididhyasanam. What did Bhagavan Krishna say? Uddharet atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet. You know that verse has to be read in the context of the previous verse. What was previous verse? Who is a yoga rudha? So Bhagavan said, whatever effort you are putting to become a yoga rudha, make sure that you don't go backwards. If you have controlled your mind, calm down sankalpa, let it not be lost because of some inadvertence. Having said this, 59th verse, the teacher said, if there is a student who has studied Shastra for several years, but still feels he is a jiva, then the scriptures have not served their purpose for that person. The word used for nishphala. Avidnyate pare tattve shastrādhitistu nishphala. If a person studies for several years and says, I am a jiva, I am born, I will die, and I go through samsara. He says that study did not benefit the person. Shastrādhitisu nishphala. Nishphala literally means futile. But a mellower word is incomplete. We will not like it, if somebody says your study was futile. What Shankaracharya wants to tell us is, there is little more to study. Then if somebody studies Shastra and says, I am Brahman, he says, for that person, Shastra is nishphala. Scripture is not going to serve any purpose. How should we understand it? It has already served its purpose. So nishphala word, we have to note it carefully. First sentence, it means incomplete. Scriptural study is still incomplete. In the second sentence, for a jnani, nishphala word means it has served its purpose in that way. So jnani need not memorize lot of mantras, lot of things in Upanishads. Or think of it other way. If jnani forgets some mantras, will his moksha diminish? No, forgetfulness and remembrance is in the intellect. Therefore, many students don't bother to memorize. They negate the substratum of memory on day one. Memory is helpful so that we can reflect on this teaching. So one who has reflected, one who has negated ignorance, for that person, memory is also not needed. That is the meaning of the word nishphala. It has served its purpose. Then 60th verse, Shankaracharya said, we have to be very careful when we study. If we go on studying different school of thoughts, if we go on studying different religious views without proper guidance, knowledge will not take place clearly. Shabdajalam maharanyam chitta brahmana karanam. Different things learning. What will happen is person might get confused. So hold on to one school of thought. Hold on to one way of thinking. And look at everything else in light of that. Actually, this is true with any student. That student might be from dualistic school of thought. Vedanta will not pull him and say, start studying Vedanta. You have your own philosophy, you have your own Guru Parampara. Surrender to them wholeheartedly. If Bhagavan has brought you in that school of thought, there is a reason. Similarly, if somebody is in Advaita Vedanta, same advice is given to us. Don't get confused with different. Nowadays, we don't read schools of thoughts. Nowadays, we should say WhatsApp messages. Everybody is a philosopher, different thoughts. Be very careful. And you will not know where you have stepped away from Advaita Vedanta. So that warning Shankaracharya gave us. Atah prayatnat jnatavyam tatvajnaihi tattvam atmanah. Know this truth from a valid source. Then 61st verse was somebody who was bitten by the ajnana sarpa, the snake of ignorance. The only medicine for that is Brahma Jnanam. Why? Because that is an illusory snake. I think I am bound. All I need to do is correct this erroneous notion. As consciousness, is it ever bound? Never bound. Because consciousness is different degree of reality than everything else. So really speaking, liberation is to understand I was never bound. Other than this, there is no other way out. That was said in the 61st verse. Now the same idea is being elaborated. Nagacchati vina panam vyadhiraushada śabdārtha vina parokshanubhavam brahma śabdairna muchyate. Nagacchati vina panam vyadhiraushada śabdārtha vina parokshanubhavam brahma śabdairna muchyate. Vyadihi panam vina nagacchati. Disease doesn't go away unless we become one with the medicine. What is the other option? Aushada śabdārtha. Person goes on repeating name of the medicine. He has a fever and he repeats Tylenol. Keeps on repeating, hoping that fever will go away. He says repeating the name of the medicine will not remove the fear. Not fear, fever. Yesterday also I said fear. Name of the medicine will not remove the disease, the fever. I will have to become one with the medicine. Similarly, vina aparokshanubhavam, without becoming one with the truth. If a person goes on repeating, I am Brahman, that will not remove ignorance. Vina aparokshanubhavam brahma śabdaihi na muchyate. Merely repeating, I am Brahman, will not give us liberation. So there is a difference between doing japa and mahavakya vichara. Those who are standing at the back have to sit down. See, Vedanta vichara needs sthirata. If you stand, you keep moving and things. Yes, good. There is a difference between japa and Vedanta vichara. In japa, we need more of bhavana, emotion, and we continuously repeat the name. In Vedanta vichara, repetition is not important. What is important is, are we able to shift attention from the word to what is indicated by the word? There is a difference between these two. Word is not the object. Just like if you say water, water is a word. But unless I know what that word means, if somebody tells me, get me a glass of water, I never heard the word water, I'll keep searching for what he wants. So śabdārtha is water. Śabda is the word water. But without śabda, you cannot indicate śabdārtha. What is expected is, from śabda, you go to what is indicated by that śabda. Swami Ramtirji used to give an example. There were 3 people who were working for one master. And all 3 spoke different languages. One spoke English, one spoke Persian, third spoke Punjabi. Then one day the master was happy. He gave 5 rupees to them. And he said, do whatever you want. I'm very happy with your work. Olden days, 5 rupees is a lot. So they say, today is a hot, sunny day, and I'm hungry. All 3 were hungry. Let us get something to eat with this 5 rupees. So the one who knows English, he says, I will eat watermelon. It is the best thing for this summer. Second person who knew Persian, he says, watermelon? Not at all. I will only have tarboos. You know what is tarboos, right? Watermelon in Persian. And the third one who speaks Punjabi, he says, I want only handwana. What is handwana? Watermelon in Punjabi. And all 3 says, we've worked for it together, 5 rupees. One person says, I want watermelon. Second says, I want tarboos. Third says, I want handwana. Now one wise person comes. He says, first you give me your 5 rupees. I will get what you want. He goes and gets a watermelon, eats 1 slice. A remaining slice remaining part he cuts into 3. And hides it, goes and gives it to the first person and says, here is your watermelon. He is happy. Goes to the second person and says, here is your tarboos. Then third person he says, here is your handwana. They are happy, person is happy, everybody is happy. Ramtirtha ji says, this is what happens when we don't know śabda and śabdārtha. All 3 are talking about the same thing, but using 3 different words. And the one who is saying watermelon doesn't know what tarboos means. He doesn't know what handwana means. And they think they are different entities. He says this is the condition of a jiva who doesn't know what the words of scripture are indicating. Just like one thing had 3 names, in Shastra also there are different names of the truth. One is Krishna, one is Shiva, third is Rama. And if we know only Shabda, one might get confused, not shift attention to the truth. Another name of the truth is Brahman. And if we know only Shabda, we might think Brahman is a person. So now I am this person. When they say you have to become Brahman, I will become some person called as Brahman. So different notions might be there if we don't appreciate what this word Brahman is indicating. So getting clarity about nature of Brahman and understanding I am that Brahman. This is called as aparoksha anubhava. Anubhava means what? Anu word, whenever it comes, it means after. So anubhava means after we are pointed out, this is the nature of truth. This is the nature of Brahman. We should start understanding truth in this way. So what is indicated as nature of Brahman? One simple indicator is ajaha. It is unborn. Amara. Amara means it is imperishable. And asamsari, doesn't get affected by samsara. So how should I understand Brahman now? Brahman is unborn, Brahman is imperishable, and Brahman is unaffected by samsara. The afflictions of day-to-day life don't affect Brahman. Is this aparoksha anubhava? Not yet. What is aparoksha anubhava? Understanding I am Brahman. Means whatever is said for Brahman is true for me. Brahman is unborn. So what is aparoksha anubhava? I am unborn. And having no hesitation in saying this statement. If at all I am hesitating, what is my obstacle? Identification with body. Identified with this body, if I say I am unborn, that statement will never be true. I am imperishable. Statement is Brahman is imperishable. What is aparoksha anubhava? I am imperishable. I as pure consciousness. Brahman is asamsari. Confidently being able to say, I am asamsari. Shankaracharya says, this is what we mean by I am Brahman. Merely repeating I am Brahman will not do us much good. It is not a japa. I need clarity on indicators of Brahman and own it up as my indicators. Brahman is substratum of creation. Aparoksha anubhava is I am substratum of creation. You know, aparoksha anubhava, if you want an English definition, whatever I know and how I live should be aligned. Whatever I know and how I live should be aligned. Brahman is dukkha swarupa or ananda swarupa? Ananda swarupa. And if my life is full of seeking joy, that means there is a gap between what I know and how I live. That is why they say we should allow Vedanta to percolate. Coffee, you know how you make that filter coffee? You give sufficient time. First, Vedanta comes and settles in our intellect. All these ideas, I am Brahman, I am infinite, Brahman is of the nature of bliss. Percolating it to our heart. That portion is the aparoksha anubhava part. My natural way of thinking should be Vedantic. Vina aparoksha anubhavam brahma shabdaihi namuchyate. Merely by saying I am Brahman, one doesn't become liberated. Just like by repeating medicine, disease doesn't go away. Repeating medicine's name. Now an example is given. Akrutva drushya vilayam ajñātvā tattvamatmanah brahma śabdai kuto muktihi uktimatra phalair nrunam. Next verse also. Akrutva shatru samharam agatva khila bhushriyam rajahamiti śabdāno raja bhavitumarhati akrutva drushya vilayam ajñātvā tattvamatmanah bam śabdai kuto muktihi uktimatra phalair nrunam akrutva shatru samharam agatva khila bhushriyam rajahamiti śabdāno raja bhavitumarhati. Look at the 64th verse first. That is the example part. There was one person who had a kingdom. There was a king who had his own kingdom, treasury and everything. One day the enemies come and attack him. And he was not prepared. So he has to run away into the neighboring forest outside his kingdom. Now in that forest, few people are around him. And he goes on saying, Aham Raja Asmi. Aham Raja Asmi. What will the people around him tell? If they know Sanskrit, they will say, Tvam Raja Abhut. You were a king, you are not a king right now. Means unless you defeat your enemy and unless you get your treasury back, you cannot be called a king. This is the example. Akrutva shatru samharam, without finishing the enemies, destroying the enemies, and agatva khila bhushriyam, without getting the land and treasury that belonged to him. If a person goes on repeating Raja aham, iti śabdāt na raja bhavitum arhati. Merely by repeating I am king, he will not become a king. What is the similarity here? Merely by repeating I am Brahman, one will not gain liberation. See, I am Brahman is not a title, not another title. Letting go of all titles is the understanding I am Brahman. Title reminds me of something. Puja Guruji would share this. There was one person outside his home, his nameplate read Lord Bahadur Singh. Lord Bahadur Singh. Now, everybody thought some title he has gotten from the king or something, Queen of England. So they asked the people there, "Ye Lord Bahadur Singh kya hai?" He said, in the village he was a landlord. Sir, land wahan hai, Lord yahan hai. Because we love titles. Bahadur Singh should be called Lord Bahadur Singh. He says like that, I am Brahman is not another title. When can we be called, or when can we say, I am Brahman has actually worked for us? Come to the previous verse. Akrutva drushya vilayam. Leave the word akrutva aside. Drushya vilaya should happen. That is step number 1. Step number 2, tattvam atmanah, jnatva. One should know nature of self as one's own true nature, and everything other than not self. Everything other than the self, which is the not self, should get dissolved. So 2 things, drushya vilaya and tattva jnanam. If you want familiar words, Brahma Satyam and Jagan Mithya. Drushya Vilaya is the Jagat Mithya and Tattvajnanam is Brahma Satyam. Consciousness alone is real, everything else is unreal. Drushya means that which becomes seen. So I will point out to certain things on this chart. You tell me whether it is drushya or not. Yes or no, you have to tell. Objects. Drushya. Yes. Body. Drushya. Mind and intellect. How many of you say adrushya? Confidently raise your hand. Mind and intellect is drushya. See, drushya doesn't mean seen through sense organs. Drushya means that which becomes an object to consciousness. Mind becomes an object to consciousness. We are able to see thoughts. We are able to see presence and absence of thoughts. So both of them are drushya. What about ahankara, PFT? It is drushya. Not easy to make it drushya. But we see in our own experience, many people say, right, I'm not a morning person. What I am now and what I am in the morning is totally different. Don't talk to me in the morning. What does that mean? My ahankara in the morning and my ahankara now has changed. And I am able to witness that change. So ahankara is also drushya. Now comes the tricky part. What about this? Wait, what is this, by the way? Vasanas, but representing causal body. Another name for causal body? Avidya, Maya, Avyakruta. All are similar names. So what about avidya? What about Maya? Is it drushya or adrushya? Where have you seen Maya? In deep sleep. In Sushupti. It becomes an object of consciousness. Exclusively. In waking and dream, we see effects of Maya. In deep sleep, we have exclusive access to Karana Sharira. So when you say drushya, how many things are included? Everything other than the self. But note the extent of drushya. Generally, when we say drushya, we see whatever is around us. We almost exclude subtle creation, mind and thoughts. We exclude ego. But when we say drushya, it starts from Karana Sharira, causal body, includes subtle body, gross body, and the world outside. First I have to know what is drushya. Then what do I have to do? Vilaya of drushya. Vilaya means dissolving. I just have to understand drushya doesn't have independent existence. Existence of drushya comes from consciousness. When I understand that, that itself is called as Vilaya of drushya, dissolution of drushya. How do we dissolve dream world? By knowing that it is nothing but the waker. By knowing the waker, we dissolve dream world. How do we dissolve waking world? By knowing it is nothing but consciousness. It is an appearance in consciousness. World appears in mind, mind appears in consciousness. So no independent reality given to world. That itself is called as dissolving the world. So how much time does it take to dissolve the world? Whenever knowledge takes place, world is dissolved right at that time. Remember, world is not dissolved like a tablet. You put it in water, slowly it will dissolve. Like that, world is not going to get dissolved. That's why a better word for dissolution is negation. Drushya vilaya means drushya badha. When I understand the substratum, superimposed is understood to be false. I don't see two things there, I see only one. For example, this harmonium, if I tell you there is nothing here but wood, before you were pointed out to this fact, did you see this harmonium? Did you see this as harmonium or wood? Harmonium. But now, after you are pointed out that there is nothing here other than wood, what do you see? Wood. What did you do to the harmonium name and form? Vilaya. Dissolved. But did it actually get dissolved? It did not. I just understood the substratum, superimposed, is understood as dissolved. So without doing this dissolution of entire drushya prapancha, and without knowing nature of self, person goes on repeating, I am Brahman, that repetition will not give moksha. So two things are needed. I have to know the nature of self and understand this whole drushya prapancha is an appearance in the self. Self alone is appearing as drushya. In this way. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he says, there is a difference between the almanac. What is the almanac? That which predicts rain. There is a difference between almanac and the rain that it predicts. So if you squeeze the almanac, he says not even one drop of water will come. You see how subtle example it is. Śabda and śabdārtha. Almanac is only giving the śabda of rain. Rain is different. Like that, Brahma and what is indicated by the word Brahma, they are two different things. So according to this verse, what should come in our understanding when we say I am Brahman? Whatever is seen is an appearance. It is not an independent entity. And what is real is the unseen truth, consciousness. This is the irony, What is seen is unreal. And what is real is not seen. The one who gets it, gets it. Otherwise, we will struggle with this insistence. If it is the truth, how can I see it? So truth will not be seen as an object. Okay. Puja Guruji, while explaining this verse, he said, many people love to chant Nirvana Shatakam. Mano Buddhi Ahankar, melodious tune. So one person would chant it every day, and right after that, he asked whether tea is ready. And tea was not ready, so he got angry because tea is not ready. He said, this is what happens if we don't know what is śabda and śabdārtha. If I say I am Brahman, then the one who wants tea, the tea and the tea which is not ready. In all of that, he should be equanimous. Main thing here is focus on śabdārtha. Don't get stuck with only śabda. Now Shankaracharya ji is telling a person who is ready to shift attention to śabdārtha. He says, Bhagwan, I have understood. I should not get stuck at śabda. How should I do this shift? How should I go to the meaning of the word? He gives an example, 65th verse you see. Aptoktim khananam tatho parishila vyutkarshanam svikrutim nikshepas samapekshate nahi bahihi śabdaistu nirgacchati tadvad brahma vidopadesha manana dhyanadibhirlabhyate maya karyatirohitam samamalam tattvam na duryuktibihi aptoktim khananam tatho parishila vyutkarshanam svikrutim nikshepas samapekshate nahi bahihi śabdaistu nirgacchati tadvad brahma vidopadesha mananadhyanadibhirlabhyate maya karyatirohitam swamamalam tattvam na duryuktibihi. Now Shankaracharya ji is talking to a person who wants to align his life with what he knows. If what I know is I am asamsari Brahma, I am Ananda Swarupa Brahma, and my life I live as a samsari. What will be my new name? Samsari Ananda Swarupa Brahma. My life I am living as a samsari, but what I know is I am Ananda Swarupa. This is a struggle of a mumukshu. He cannot deny that he doesn't know. Neither can he say that my samsara has ended. So Shankaracharya says there is a path, there is a means to reach there. Now this example is of a person who is going through some financial difficulty. And he is struggling every day. One elderly person comes to him and says, I knew your grandfather. Grandfather was a very pious person and very well-to-do person. He told me that if my future generations need something in the time of difficulty, I have some treasure which I will hide in the backyard. You don't tell them unless they need it. So this elderly person says, today you need it, that is why I am telling you. Now, this person who is going through difficulty, what should this person do? First is, he should have faith in this person's words. Otherwise, if anybody comes and tells us there is treasure in your backyard, constantly we'll keep digging different places. But if this person who is telling me is a trustworthy person, then I say, yes, grandfather must have kept something here. So step number 1 is, I should listen to his words with faith. Then step number 2, I should know where to dig and actually start digging. Now, in the beginning, when you dig, you will have grass, mud, but later on, you will find stones. So, step number 3 is the stones which are there, that have to remove. The heavier rocks which are there, that have to remove. And then, when I find the treasure, 4th step is I have to own up the treasure. Sanskrit names for 4 of them. First one is called Aptoktim. Aptaukti means listening with faith from a trusted source. Second step is Khananam. Khananam means to dig. Third step is Shiladi Vyutkarshanam, removing the harder rocks and stones which you will find beneath. And 4th step is Swikruti, owning up the treasure. Now, just like this person was pointed out to the treasure in his backyard, scriptures are pointing out a treasure within us. They say, you are not a Jiva, you are Brahma. You don't have samsara. In your real essence, you are asamsari Brahma. Now, just like this person had 4 steps, this sadhaka has 4 steps. Step number 1 is to listen to this instruction clearly, with faith. See, I am Brahman is not an opinion of some person. I am Brahman is knowledge revealed to us by Upanishads and Rishis. So that is Aptoktim. Just like the person had this elderly person as his well-wisher. Who is our well-wisher? Shastra and Guru, both together. So Aptoktim is similar to Shravanam, listening to this teaching, how I am Brahman. Then second step is Khananam, digging. Similarity of digging is Mananam. Means in my own words, in my own thought process, I should be able to absorb what is Vedanta telling me. Not blindly accept, I am Brahman. How can this whole drishya be an appearance? How I am not the body, how I am not the mind. That is called as Mananam. See, Mananam we all are very familiar with, but we are familiar with for worldly objects. Take any example. If you have to buy a car, do we do Mananam or not? So much Mananam we do. Pros and cons. Mileage we check. So many things we check. If you have to buy a home, we don't just go and buy. Even if it looks good from the outside, we'll go deep and search what is the truth. Same Mananam we have to do here. What we have heard, trying to absorb it. Then step number 3 was Shiladi Vyutkarshanam, removing the hard stones and rocks. That is Nididhyasanam. What are the hard rocks here? Our strong, erroneous notions. Even after knowing this, we keep thinking to be a jiva. Keep identifying with body and mind. That removal of hard rocks is called as Nididhyasanam. And the last step, owning up the treasure, is abiding in the self. Negating drishya and abiding in self, that is the 4th step, Swikruti. Now you see the verse, it will be very simple. Aptoktim khananam tatha parishila vyutkarshanam svikrutim. 4 steps. Simple. All names we saw. Aptoktim means listening from a valid source. Khananam means to dig. Shila vyutkarshanam means to remove the hard stones and rocks. And svikrutim means own up the treasure. Nikshepas samapekshate nahi bahihi shabdaistu nirgacchati. Shankaracharya pulls our leg here. He says, even if you want the treasure in your backyard, if you stand on the backyard and say, treasure come out, treasure will not come. You have to do these 4 steps. Although it is in our own backyard. Similarly, the self, which is the treasure within, unless we follow these 4 steps, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and Aparokshanubhava, owning up the truth, it will not manifest on its own. Similarly, Tadvat Brahmavid Upadesha. So what is Brahmavid Upadesha? Listening from a valid source. Mananam, that is the second step. And Dhyanadi Bihi. So Dhyana and Aparokshanubhava is 1 step. But you can split it into 2. Step number 3 and step number 4. Without doing these 4 steps, one will not get liberation. Maya karya tirohitam. That self which is covered with Maya and its effects. Swamamalam, which is pure by itself. And Tattvam. That truth, we will not get it otherwise. Shankaracharya adds one more word there. Duryukti bihi. Not by using erroneous logic. It's a very important word, duryukti. Means the logic that we use to slow down our journey in liberation. What are some examples? One example of duryukti is what happens only by Shravanam. What did Shankaracharya tell us? If at all something has to happen, it will only happen starting with Shravanam. Otherwise, just imagine the importance of doing Shravanam with Shraddha. If step 1 is not there, I cannot reflect, I cannot meditate, and I cannot abide. So that is one duryukti. Another duryukti is to say, Vedanta and all is okay, but real life is something different. As sadhakas, we will face this. And Vedanta says, don't slow down your journey because of such thoughts. Shankaracharya will ask us, if we say to Shankaracharya, all this Vedanta is fine, but our real life is something different. He will say, this statement are you making after doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam or without doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam? Very likely, which person is this? Without doing. So it is like saying any other topic, You say this topic is impractical without studying that topic sincerely. Nuclear physics, you take for example. If somebody makes a statement, nuclear physics and all in today's time, it's impractical. Now, have you studied that knowledge properly under somebody and try to appreciate its application? He says, no, I'm just making a statement. That is called as duryukti. So in the spiritual path, we have to be very alert. What is that duryukti which is holding us back from moving further? Shastraihi na duryuktibihi. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.